I'm also a Scottish lord.
Nice.
Yeah. My brother-in-law did that internet thing where you go, like, submit your name to the like Scotland and you get like a postage stamp piece of land. And
So are you Irish?
No.
Scottish.
No.
Scottish.
Kentucky knees, I think, is probably part of it. But yeah, it doesn't matter. The point is, I'm a fucking lord.
Something like that.
Something like that. I should probably pull up my script.
From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, and real therapists. You can submit your questions anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. And now broadcasting from the churn with many special guests, Janet, Kellyanne, and Dr. Jared. It's time for some Pod Therapy.
Welcome, everybody, to an exciting new day in Pod Therapy history. We got rid of those scrubs, Whitney and Nick, for disciplinary reasons. Bullying will not be tolerated anymore on this show. Thanks to HR Director Dr. Jacob.
That's right.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for backing me up, staging a coup.
That's right.
And we have invited colleagues from the community. We've got 3 great therapists here. 4, I guess. I should count myself.
No, you were right the first time.
Probably just stick with 3. So if you'd like to get to know our co-hosts even deeper, go to patreon.com/therapy. You can join the pre-show hangout where we do a deep dive and they tell us about their careers and their backgrounds and their populations. But for the main show audience, I will reintroduce them and have them share just a few words about their background. Janet, tell us about your background in a sentence.
I'm Janet. I'm a registered play therapist supervisor, and I like to build Lego for a living.
I love it.
All
Have
right.
you ever gone to Legoland?
No.
Oh my God.
I need to.
It rules. They have a miniature Las Vegas.
I've heard. I've seen pictures.
The best.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What I didn't ask
They call
anybody,
it Reno.
Yeah. Take that, Reno.
Best little
You
town.
are less than. Backgrounds, I didn't ask anybody's license, which is a great opportunity to educate the public about our different licenses because there are different ones. Which one's yours?
I am a marriage and family therapist. I'm also a supervisor for our board here.
Oh, are you really? You're on the board of examiners?
No. I'm a supervisor of new intern therapists.
Ah, got it.
Yes.
Okay, because I was about to shit a brick, because that would have scared me. I have a phobia of all the board members because I have been doing a dumbass podcast for 8 years, and I'm really hoping they never figure it out. Until I bumped into one randomly, and he did know about it.
Yeah.
I was like, shit!
They all know about it.
I lied to him, remember? I told him that doesn't exist, and he's an idiot. And I think that he may have known that I was lying since he's heard
He
the
definitely
podcast.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gaslighting board members, maybe not a good idea.
Board member, quick recap for the story. Board member confronts Jim about, not confronts, but just mentions the podcast. Says
publicly in a
how's
meeting.
the podcast going, basically?
I panicked.
And Jim's response was to panic and say, I don't know about a podcast.
It did not go well. It did not go well.
That's
You're
not
an
me.
idiot.
That's not me.
Yeah.
Couldn't be me.
Yeah, insulting a board member in front of the public, bad idea. Especially when you're saying they're lying about a thing that they're not lying about and you're the liar.
Right.
My bad. Hi, Kellyanne. Tell us about your background and what's your license?
Background is couples, as far as a marriage therapist, focusing on couples. But as far as when you were talking about the letters, yes, in Tennessee are different than in Nevada.
Ah, that's right. Mental health counselors.
Yes, I'm a mental health service provider, LPC, out of Tennessee. And then in Nevada, the
LCPC.
The fucking letters got me confused.
Yeah, clinical professional counselor.
Yeah, I did LPC, but my sign says CLPC.
Right.
LCPC?
Yes, it's all
the alphabet soup.
Yes,
Yeah,
all the letters confuse me.
It's
Find
fair.
out what it means to me.
Thank you, Aretha. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Jared, tell us about your background and tell us about your license.
Okay.
I'm just glad to have another PhD in the room.
Finally.
I'm working on mine.
It's a side D, actually.
Good.
But yes. Clinical psychologist. I work mostly with adults. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
because you mentioned the PsyD, I
Yes.
want the public to understand a little bit of the difference there. So most folks, when they hear about a doctorate, they hear PhD, as Jacob
right.
just said.
Right.
PsyD is a doctorate, but it does have a different kind of slant to it. Teach us about what that is.
It's more it was more focused on in the room study.
Yeah.
So more of the micro world of psychology versus the macro versus the research base. There's a lot of research, but we were not made to do as much research in the field as we were to follow the
Clinical
research
work.
and apply it into the clinical.
Yeah. So what I've seen a little bit in the field of clinical psychologists, the emphasis historically has been a lot of research. They're scientists, they do a lot of science. And sometimes in the field, clinical was sort of seen as like the other group. Like there not as many people were interested in clinical. But now there's been a real transformation with the PsyD emphasis to say, no, we're going to specialize in clinical work.
Yes.
And still do research, but de-emphasize that and emphasize more the here and now, the practical applied psychology.
Yes.
Excellent. I'd rather have that than a researcher. Nobody likes a nerd, Jared. Okay. We're here to do the damn job.
I didn't say I wasn't a nerd.
Oh, shit. Okay. Well, as long as you're a cool nerd. And
we'll see.
Jared's wearing a leather fucking jacket. Okay. He's a
I'm
cool
trying.
nerd. Yeah. You showed up. You're hiding the nerddom very, very well. So we've got some great questions for today's show. And the first one that we're starting off with is moving on from a toxic workplace. And the writer says, "Hi there. I've been listening for a couple of years now, and like a good lurker, waited to write in until you mentioned your question queue being low. Then waited another couple of months."
That's what we were looking for. So that's
Thank
good.
you for
Perfect.
doing it.
Well
You got
done.
around to it. Good job, writer. I'm a 24-year-old man and graduated from college 2 years ago. When I graduated, I was full of hope and optimism after a challenging but ultimately rewarding COVID college experience as an environmental science major. I had just received a job offer from a small consulting firm where they claimed I'd quickly build applicable skills, network, and gain positive work experiences. But I was too green and too desperate for a job to recognize the red flags during the interview process. After all, they flew me out to meet the team and look for apartments, and they gave off a good vibe at the time.
Oh, yeah.
That'll
When they
happen.
fly you out for the gig, to like check on the gig, to do all the stuff, man, it's a good move.
It's
it
such a
makes you
flex.
ignore a lot of things.
Such a flex. Honestly, I'll take a job if you just buy me dinner. Like, you don't have to fly me nowhere. Like, just be like, hey, man, here's some mac and cheese in a cup. I'd be like, oh, shit.
I went and looked at something
fancy.
today for like podcasting stuff, and the guy that we were looking at it with, I'm being intentionally vague. You might find out more about it later.
Yeah,
but
Joe Rogan, but go on.
That's it. The guy we went out to look at this stuff with, when we were leaving, he gave us each bags of really nice chips, like potato chips.
You got grab bags?
And we were like,
goodie bags?
We were out until now. You give us a bag of really nice potato chips, and we're in.
Gourmet kettle chips.
Yeah.
Damn it. Writer, I feel you. I moved from Michigan to Tennessee. There you go, Kellyanne. With my wonderful
Do you know
girlfriend.
Kellyanne?
Oh, yeah, I assume.
Okay.
Y'all have dated at some point. Yeah,
possibly.
Probably. With my wonderful girlfriend. Oh, shoot, the rival shows up. And at first, all seemed well. After a couple of weeks of onboarding and training, I was traveling, learning how to write reports, and things were good. But 1 month into the job, that changed permanently. My boss called me into our conference room where there were 17, I counted, stacks of hundreds of pages of paper. After a very brief explanation, it became my job to go through every pile and manually enter every table into Excel. I think that's a human rights violation.
There's not enough Adderall to make that happen.
Right. I think that's like against the Geneva Conventions. I don't think it's allowed.
I believe I would just laugh. I'd be like, I can't.
Nope.
I can't do it. Sorry.
You just got to knock over one pile and just run.
Yeah.
That's how you get them. Tens of thousands of lines of data, thousands of tables, all poorly photocopied.
Oh, good.
Oh my
God. Jesus. So no automation was possible. If this had been the job I signed up for, fine. But I had signed up for travel and field work, not soul-crushing data entry stuck in an office all day. This dragged on for a month and a half and caused me a ton of stress. There was no set
and
deadline.
carpal tunnel.
Yeah, Jesus. No set deadline, no clear expectations, and my engineer boss was a terrible communicator who constantly moved the goalposts. I'd spend days on something only to have him change his mind and make all that work useless. He was generally a pleasant guy, but I dreaded asking him questions because it usually made things worse instead of giving me the answers I needed. There was no other work to do. It was this or nothing. Not only that, but aside from one other new hire, I was by far the youngest person at the company, which made fitting in impossible. I also wasn't getting much support from my managers or coworkers, so I just felt completely alone in it. By my second month, I knew I wanted to leave, which was devastating. I'd moved halfway across the country, dragging my girlfriend with me, thankfully she had a remote job, and left my family and friends behind. I had never felt like I had made such a massive mistake in my life. I also felt trapped because breaking our lease and moving again would have been expensive, and I didn't want to move back in with my parents.
Sure.
I started job searching in April and was lucky enough to land a role in state government near the Gulf of Mexico. What's that? Is it?
It used to
Gulf
be a body of
America
water.
now.
Okay, yeah.
The Gulf of something else.
It's
now.
Gulf of America.
I think
now.
that's right. Yeah, I think we'll correct that for you, Ryder.
It's the Gulf of Freedom.
Yes.
Freedom and
Good
shrimp
God.
boats.
That's freedom water there.
Freedom water. I quit unceremoniously and last September moved
It's not salty. That's freedom.
moved halfway across the country again. My new job is so much better. My coworkers are great. My supervisors are supportive. And while the work is a little dry, it actually feels meaningful. I'm doing everything I had hoped to do at my last job, minus the travel and field work, but that's okay with me for now. My girlfriend has been nothing but supportive through all these moves, which I'm so grateful for. But here's the problem. I've been struggling, or it's been 8 months, and I'm still struggling to move on. I think about that job almost every day, and sometimes I feel myself falling back into the anxiety spirals I had last year. I think about the scary situations, the times I was angry at leadership, the constant fear of not doing enough work. Even now, I still feel like I have to be productive all the time, both in and out of work, and it's exhausting. I do genuinely want to be learning new things, but it's so hard when it also feels like something I have to do. So, therapists, how do I leave this experience behind? I feel like it's getting in the way of my day-to-day life and mental well-being, and I just want to be rid of this baggage. Thanks, Anonymous. Damn good letter.
Yeah.
Has anybody ever been haunted by a job? Because I still have nightmares of being a server at a Coco's. Do y'all ever remember Coco's? It's like a high-end
Yeah,
Denny's.
like endless bacon.
Hell yeah.
How do you get higher end than Denny's?
I know, right? I mean, it's the creme de la creme.
What are you talking about?
Denny's gets a little
High-end
confused
Denny's.
when I order the filet mignon, but over pancakes. That's what I'm looking for. Steak and filet mignon. No, but so I used to go work at Coco's, which was like a 3-course restaurant. So they did breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'd finish my night shift. I'd go
those
to bed,
3 courses.
and I'd have to work the next morning. I would dream about the job all night. So the whole night I'm dreaming about serving, and it wasn't like a cool dream. It's like just remembering orders and just walking up to tables. And then I'd wake up and be like, I have to go to work, and like, this is the worst. Like being haunted.
terrible.
It is the
Yes.
absolute. I just worked 3 shifts and I didn't get paid for one of them. It sucked. So we need to talk about trauma, Jared.
Yeah. Well, and this job sounds like my personal hell. Like
Oh, yeah.
like
Sure.
I mean, imagine being this kid. Like he was like what, 24? Like
24. Oh, he's 24
Right out of
now.
college,
Yeah.
So he's like
First job.
Yeah.
and you're all by yourself. I mean, he brought his girlfriend, so there's
Yes.
that pressure, right? And like you're just stuck in a room
Look
that
at this
you
page.
would go mad in. Like
Type it in by hand.
type in all of these things by hand.
I feel
it
like
sounds like hell.
If
for
it was
sure.
purgatory, I'd believe it. If there was like a
Yeah,
page in the
yeah.
Bible that was like, hey, this shit will happen, you'd be like, all right, let's
Yeah.
double think this. You don't want to fuck around and find
Yeah,
out
this
with
is a-
Excel spreadsheets.
right.
That's not my
Right,
help.
and this person had to do this for months.
Good
Yeah.
So like
Lord.
of course you're gonna think about that. Like
Right.
that would be a haunting experience.
Can you imagine doing it right and then going to your boss and
Oh
just
my
being like, hey,
gosh.
really quick, did you want this on blue or yellow paper? And
Yeah.
he's like, actually, I want it all in Chinese. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
I'll just go fuck
Back to
myself.
the
then.
drawing board.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
So
would-
when you're
you would go
haunted,
crazy.
you're haunted by
Haunted
some
by-
kind of
yeah.
terrible situation, some kind of terrible job. You're in a new job. Things are going better. But you're
yeah.
like still thinking about this. How do we deal with sticky thoughts?
Yeah, I think like one of the things is you're trying to get rid of it real fast.
Yeah.
And I get it, but like that's a lot to feel. And you probably couldn't let yourself feel a lot of those feelings while you were in it because you
Good
just had to
point.
get through
You
it.
had to
Yeah.
suppress.
Yeah.
Suppress.
And,
And
so-
hadn't had another big job before.
right.
The first job
And
out of college. So you like
also
is
moving
this
again,
normal?
It's
resetting.
like your first
yeah.
love.
Yeah.
Yeah. No?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it totally
Is it
right.
similar?
Like it was. He got seduced into the job.
Yes.
And maybe they had good intentions at first, but then they needed this shitty thing done.
Right.
Right.
He was the youngest there, so let's give it to the
Yeah.
kid. Yeah.
Right. He has energy or whatever. Like, yeah.
Yeah. He can ruin his eyes on all this fine print. We just
Yeah.
save our own. So what you're saying there is give yourself some credit that over
Yeah.
time, the power of these thoughts will probably diminish. It's just happened. And it's your immediate
yeah,
past
and
job.
you're processing them right now.
Right.
Yeah, and it's not a small thing. So it's like I get that you want it to be over because you're like it happened 8 months ago, but you're probably just starting to process.
Yeah,
some
I
of
still
that
have
now.
food in my fridge from 8 months ago.
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
So like, I'm not forgetting a traumatic experience from 8 months ago.
Yeah.
Well, and the more jobs you're going to have, the more you're not going to think all the time about this.
That is a good point.
Yeah.
There's a dilution that needs
That's
to
it.
happen. When you've had 20 jobs, you don't remember your shittiest one that bad. When you've had 2, you're very aware.
Yeah.
Or when you're in it, like when you're actively in it, you're still kind of in it a few months out. Like that's yeah.
And eventually it becomes a punchline. My first job was I was Chucky at Chuck E. Cheese in the mouse suit.
Were you really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you
And now when
win.
people say
That's
I
a
went to
flex.
Chuck E. Yeah.
Hell yeah. That's so
I'm
cool.
Like, that was awful. And also, I still work with kids.
Right.
Yes.
They're just not climbing on me anymore.
Past was prologue in this
Yes,
case.
yes.
That is so cool. Oh, that is a big flex. Now, was
also-
that a good job for you, or are you
I didn't mind
traumatized
it.
by
No,
that job?
No. I didn't like making pizza. I liked making the pizza as long as there's no mushrooms. Like, I
It
didn't wanna
bothers
burn
me
my
that the Chuck E.
hands.
Cheese impersonator was also cooking.
What do you mean impersonator?
Pick away. Well, clearly you're not the real Chuck E. Cheese. I'm not an idiot.
Clearly.
It's clearly an act.
For this guy, there's also a somatic component. He had to pick up the paper, look at the paper, type the paper. So
Yeah.
his body was also doing it with his brain. So it's all
Oh,
connected.
yeah. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Like the neurons that fire
Yes.
together, wire together.
Yes.
This poor son of a bitch is sitting there. God, can you imagine? What a bad job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, God.
and he feels completely alone. He's in a new city. He doesn't know anybody.
Yeah.
And
That
all these
is the
people are
worst.
older.
And he didn't say if there's a feeling of failure, like I couldn't do that job, so I had to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, like, give himself some credit. He recognized this is toxic. This is not normal.
Yeah. See, okay. So when we talk about toxic jobs, I want to remind the audience that Kellyanne was a cop. So
Yes.
we think about tough jobs. We think about jobs that haunt you.
Absolutely.
You were a cop for like 15 years
Yes.
before you joined the light side of the force and became a therapist.
Yes.
I imagine you carry some of that job with you even as you move on from it,
Of
right?
course. Of
How do you
course.
let go of that over time?
I don't know that you let it go. You just learn to kind of let it be.
Acceptance, maybe?
Yeah.
Wow, that's deep.
It softens. Yeah.
Yeah. it does
Hashtag
so.
deep. That was really cool. So advice to a writer who's saying, you know what, I am haunted by these intrusive thoughts. Like I'm happy. I'm in, and I think we can relate this to a lot of things. The job, as Jared was saying, relationships is another good metaphor here where it's like a lot of people are still haunted by their last relationship, by their ex. A lot of people after you move out from your parents and you're living on your own, you're still haunted by the dynamics of that old household. And we get these intrusive thoughts and we kind of feel like, man, like I just want to be present. I want to be in the now. But I'm constantly like being taken back to bad past experiences. Thoughts on how we start to let that stuff go or transcend it or reframe it? Like, how do we give advice on that?
Our thoughts aren't always the truth. Our
Right.
brain doesn't always tell us the truth, and it's just a thought.
My brain's a fucking liar.
Yeah. Sometimes, like, if you
Always.
can say, well, there's an interesting thought I'm having. I wonder what else is happening
Go on
right
with
now.
that.
So it's a thought I'm having. I'm thinking about that paper. Well, am I tired? Do I need to rest? Am I thirsty?
Interesting.
Am I hungry?
What's triggering
Do I need to
this?
move my body? What do I actually need? Because it's just a thought, but your body has a feeling before your brain has a thought. There's microseconds between,
I like this.
which people don't realize. They think their brain's in charge of everything, but that's incorrect.
Emotions
I'm in
first.
charge of
Yeah.
everything, not my stupid brain.
Yeah.
Feelings first.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
So you're kind of saying, writer, be very mindful. Do
Yes.
some kind of audits
Pay
of your
attention.
life.
Like
Pay
when
attention.
the thought comes up,
What's happening?
what's really going on? And it's just a thought.
Can you imagine every time this dude touches a piece of paper?
Right. Right. And some
Or
of the
has-
stuff is the same at this job. So I'm sure
Right.
it's like somewhat triggering, even if
Right.
it's going well.
Like he has to type something sometimes.
Because even on a good day, you'd be like, "Oh, remember when I had that bad?" Like
It's going to
that bad
haunt you.
thing?
I remember
Yeah.
when I became a therapist and every time I had to serve a bowl of soup, I was like, oh, being a waiter sucks.
Yeah.
Comes up more often than you think. A lot of people ask
Serving
for soup in
soup?
therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You guys don't do soup therapy?
No.
Amateurs? Jesus. I didn't realize I invited the B squad. Come
Crackers
on.
always get in my rug. I just
That's right.
can't
I had
do
to
it
stop
anymore.
the
I
soup. It
can't
was
do it
getting
anymore.
everywhere. The cleaning bills were outrageous.
We make slime soup. We put
Oh,
it in
you
the bowl.
do?
Sure, yeah.
Play therapy kind of rules.
I know.
Like I've always
I wanna
been like
play
scared of it,
therapist,
but
I
you're really
think.
selling me
Come
on
on
play
over.
therapy.
Come on
Jesus.
over.
Can
you
I
got
just
cool
come
stuff.
play?
Of course.
Yeah, just
I'm
come
gonna
over.
make some slime.
Can I just
think
be
my,
like
my
in the
inner
next
child
office?
needs that.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Slime soup.
And that was one thing I was thinking as I was listening to you read the letter. Like, what is he doing that is allowing himself to enjoy life? Is he remembering, like, this was hard and I made it through it and, like, it doesn't own me anymore?
Celebrating.
Yeah.
Celebrating the differences. You know, when you think about patients that you've had that are coming from difficult things, that have maybe lowercase t trauma, you know, and they're haunted by it. Like there's been an imprint of the bad.
T, it's all trauma.
There you go. All caps, you know, caps lock. There
Trauma
it
is trauma is trauma.
It all sucks.
Yeah.
But, you know, you think about these haunting experiences, and I like this point of noticing body work essentially, but like noticing what's leading to it, discerning the difference between the fact and the feeling, reminding yourself, I'm not in that old space anymore, celebrating the differences, which I think is kind of a seeking safety behavior to sort of say, this is different. You're in a better place now. I like this job.
Our nervous system is constantly seeking for safety.
Right.
That's its job.
And you're being haunted by like that old sense of danger and like feeling like you're not enough.
Right.
How do we feel about things like mindfulness, self-talk? Does anybody incorporate that into their practice work at all?
Yes.
And also self-compassion.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah, self-compassion,
Yes,
not
yes.
self-care. Self-compassion is
Right.
like, oh, sweetheart, are you okay? Like,
Yeah.
I'm patting my chest because that's what I do when I feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just talking to yourself.
What do you need?
Yeah.
I think the name it to tame it, bring in the emotion piece.
Name the emotion that you're
Yes,
feeling.
to tame
Our
it.
emotional vocabulary is terrible.
It is.
This is
That's
somebody-
what I
Happy,
notice
sad,
in
blah, blah,
couples.
blah.
On the
Right.
show? Oh,
Yeah.
just in general.
Just in general.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And on the show.
Yeah.
Do any of y'all, on this point of caveat on emotional vocab, I have like a feelings wheel. I think a lot of
I
us
have
have
a
seen the
pillow.
feelings wheel.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
what?
I have pictures. I have all the inside out stuff too.
Oh,
so-
there you go. But like educating the client on emotional vocabulary, like with children, it's a given, but with adults, that they need that too.
Absolutely. It takes
Yeah.
patience.
And not to
also-
be stereotypical, but a lot of male patients, like I feel like they've been taught to paint with like 3 colors, right? It's like I'm angry, sad, or happy. And sometimes we have to like get in the weeds and be like, I feel jilted. And it's like, yes, that is your truth.
Yeah.
I like
Fucking
that.
sucks.
Then I ask
Yes,
for colors.
get
Yes.
deeper.
Give me the
Yeah.
color of it. What
Yeah,
do you
sometimes
see?
I need to paint with
And I-
aquamarine.
I
goddammit.
also like the question, where do you feel that in your body?
Okay,
Yeah.
so I've
Oh, I
heard
asked
this
that.
approach, and I've met a couple of therapists that use a lot more of that like somatic
somatic.
approach. Can you, for the general audience,
Sure.
share a few words about what that's about?
So for myself, if I feel nervous, anxious, it is definitely like in my solar plexus. I feel like it's tightened. I can't get a big breath.
Yeah.
If I feel angry, my hands want to punch something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And emotions are something to be managed. So we talk about anger management all the time. Like, can we express anger in a safe way?
right.
How do we do that?
There's a healthy way to deal with
Yes.
that feeling.
And
Even this
co-regulating
anxiety.
with someone.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So even this
Co-regulation,
fear,
yeah.
we
Yes.
can regulate that emotion, and it's okay to feel it. So you're saying, writer, don't run from it.
Right.
Experience
Lean
it.
into it.
Yes,
What is this
absolutely
about?
lean in.
I like that. Okay. So
And not
flaming,
be so serious.
don't be so serious. The Joker advice.
Yes.
How do we feel about flaming bag of dog shit at former employer? Is that tasteful?
I was actually just thinking getting stacks of paper and shredding them and like
Oh.
yelling at it
Oh
like
my
I was the worst
God.
job
Oh, for
ever. Let me shred it.
catharsis?
Yeah.
Oh, I like
Make
that
a
a
ritual.
lot.
Create a ritual to get rid of it.
Yes.
Like have a paper exorcism.
Have you guys seen that movie Office Space back in the day where they
Oh, my
steal the
stapler.
fax machine? Yeah, exactly. They steal that printer or whatever. They
Yes.
take it out into the meadow and
beat
beat
it.
the living crap out of it with baseball bats. Ah, that
scene,
would have been
yes,
a really
yes,
good
yes.
move
How can
there.
he create the writer create a ritual around
I love that.
getting that out of his mind and body?
I like this so much. Rituals are an unused technique. I think a lot of times we get so cognitive and we do so much talk therapy that we forget that sometimes you can do something kinetic. And there's a lot to that.
Yeah, and make a metaphor. Like, what does that paper represent for you?
Yeah.
Being held down, being that paper's waiting on you. Like,
Right.
put something weighted on you and then remove it and go, I'm free.
I like that. And I like shredding the paper
Yes.
or setting fire to the paper.
Fire's good
Safely.
too.
Safely.
I often tell my couples when they come in to form a ritual without words. And when I first say the word ritual, I'll say, I don't mean sacrifice the neighborhood cat in a bonfire tonight. I mean you two connecting some way physically.
I'm
So,
glad you
yes.
brought up couples therapy because I think that does.
I'm glad you brought up not burning up the neighbor's cat.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
Good
Ideas.
advice, good
All
advice.
ideas are welcome. Okay.
yeah.
No bad ideas, except, illegal ones. But on this point of like couples therapy, you practice EFT. We were talking about this pre-show and emotion-focused therapy.
Yep.
And it's a very specific approach that really does embrace a lot of authenticity. And it also is not afraid to talk about like resentments and scary things.
Yes.
And in couples therapy, sometimes we have maybe an infidelity episode or something where somebody is haunted, right? And they would relate to this writer and say, I know we've tried to move past this and like we're trying to heal, but I'm still really haunted by the old you, or the way you used to treat me or the old agreement that we had or the betrayals. when somebody's carrying that into therapy and couples work, coming from like maybe an EFT approach, what might you do to sort of like start to make us get beyond that?
Definitely that's a level of resentment. So that resentment is, you didn't see me back there, and now we're moving forward, and I'm still stuck back here. So it's part of a grieving process. So much like that writer, he has to grieve the things he didn't get at that job. He wasn't recognized. He wasn't rewarded. He wasn't anything. He was kind of just dismissed.
Yeah.
So I think there's some grieving he needs to do.
I like that. That is a huge observation. Because you know what? Grief is one of those things. I'm so glad you brought it up, because a lot of times people only think that we bring up grief with death, right? But really, a lot of us look to grieving models for any significant life change, even a good life change.
Yeah.
Writer got out of a shitty job, and you wouldn't think that you need to grieve, but it kind of sounds like you're saying, Kellyanne, yeah, you probably do, right? Because there was pain back then, there was transformation, it happened quickly. You're still going to pop through those stages, and you might feel a lot of anger still. You might still bump around to feeling sad about it, some depression. But I think I'm hearing you offer that over time, you're going to slide toward acceptance, and this is going to start to fade away. Which, Jared, it seems like that kind of dovetails with your original observation that given time, the impression, the imprint of the trauma, it will dissipate, but it's only been 8 months. Give yourself some credit here.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to the self-talk thing that you brought up too, right? Like, how are you talking to yourself right now about this? Because this story could be like, oh God, you should have seen these signs sooner, and what's wrong with you, and why didn't you know better? Or good for you for getting out of that. Like, good for you for seeing that so soon.
I love that reframe.
You know, because some people would get stuck in a bad career for many, many years.
It's hard to look for a new job.
Yeah. Especially if and he was willing to move again, so he took another chance, and it worked out.
So much courage to do that.
So there was a risk that was taken again.
I love that.
So there's a lot of positives in his story.
Yeah.
And it's just, you got to look at that side and really give yourself some credit.
It kind of sounds like you're saying if this was your patient and maybe they were still at that bad job, and they were saying, Doc, I'm scared because what a silly, dumb thing I've done. I've moved across the country. I drugged my girlfriend out here. I believed I'm going to go back home with my tail between my legs. I'm going to look like such a fool, and I'm going to lose my deposit on this rent, and all these mistakes. Yeah. And it sounds like you would reframe that as, but look at how brave you're being.
Yeah.
You're willing to walk away from something abusive. The sooner you do that, the better that is.
Exactly.
That's huge.
He stood up for himself.
Yeah.
He really did.
This applies to so many other things than jobs, right? And going back to relationships, family relationships, romantic relationships. A lot of times we're scared to like cut the fishing line and walk away and cut the bait and lose the investment of time or money or energy you've sunk into this. And we have to be willing to do that. It kind of sounds like you're saying that was a brave thing you did, and it's okay that you did it.
I think it was really brave. And I mean, I never want to sound dismissive, but like, at that young of an age too, like that's amazing that you could see that. Like, I don't think me at 24, like I think that's how I empathize with a client, right? Is like, I know that would have happened to me in some way. Like I could have gotten in that same position. Right. We're not that different. It was just, this happened to you and you got stuck and then you had to get out, but you did get out.
You know, I remember there's an old saying, I don't know who said this, but when you've taken a wrong turning, or it says something like 2 people take a wrong turning in the woods, the one who reverses course fastest is the most progressive person. They're actually ahead of you because they turned around. You just do a U-turn. You're actually in the lead now if you're going the wrong way. And so whenever you realize my job, my life, my relationship, this thing, this direction I'm heading is not mine. It's not my truth. It's not in alignment with me or my values, or I'm being abused, or this is not going to work out long term. Turning around and starting something new, even if that's a gamble, you're actually moving ahead. I think a lot of people are afraid that they're going backward in life, moving back in with my parents or whatever. Yeah. It's like, actually, that's a forward movement if you think about it.
Yeah, because you come back with the lesson. You get the things, the experiences that make you who you are.
Yeah.
And
it is brave. I like what you said, that at 24, maybe I wouldn't have done that. At 24, I had a kick-ass Pokemon card collection. So I considered myself brave. I feel like, braver than this writer, because I had some really, really good cards. So, writer, great question. Guest therapist, you're already beating the shit out of my loser co-hosts. I like you all way better. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're talking about anxiety after a spouse is laid off. You're listening to Pod Therapy. Today's episode is brought to you by the following producers I've randomly selected from the list because I don't remember how Nick picks this thing. Jake Schneider, Myra, Robert Brownie Jr. Mint, Smitty Scoop, Judy Schneider, and Kayla Lansbury. And Jacob is our trivia master today.
All right.
We have Las Vegas trivia for our Las Vegas-based therapist.
That's right.
Okay. Jacob will explain the rules.
So we got 3 questions here. We're just going to go around the room. We're going to do. I have options for you if you need options, but you get 2 points if you guess it without the options.
Oh.
1 point if you guess it with the option.
Okay.
So let's just start. Let's start with Janet.
Okay, I'm ready.
Which Las Vegas casino holds the Guinness World Record for the largest sports book in the world as of 2024?
Ooh, it's probably the Westgate because I think it was the Hilton before that.
Do you want to shoot from the hip or do you want options?
Maybe options.
Okay, here comes some options.
Smart play.
Yeah. Especially since Westgate is not one of the options.
Woo!
Caesar's Palace, Circa Resort and Casino, The Mirage, The Wynn Las Vegas.
I know it's not the Mirage because I worked there for 15 years.
Okay.
15 years. It's very small.
Yeah, they didn't have a huge.
Were you a
sports book.
dolphin trainer?
No, I worked at the front desk.
Okay.
As a dolphin trainer?
As a dolphin trainer.
I stood
Any
in front of-
dolphins that
I
came
stood
to the
in front
front
of
desk,
fish
they were
tank
trained.
and went back. I'm going to go with the Wynn.
The Wynn Las Vegas. I'm sorry, that is incorrect. That is
Can we go for
incorrect.
steals?
Yeah,
Can
let's
I
go for a
steal?
steal.
Oh,
Everyone
it
wants
passes
steal?
to Kellyanne.
What are the choices again?
Let's see. Well, the Wynn Las Vegas, not a choice anymore.
Right.
The Mirage, Circa, or Caesar's Palace.
Mirage.
Incorrect.
Oh, it goes to Jared. You have an opportunity. You could choose between Circa
It's
and
Circa.
It is Circa.
feels like Circa.
Yeah,
Circa's come in aggressive on
Yeah.
sports betting. They're all about it.
Yeah,
So
That's downtown.
it is.
yeah,
it's the new one.
yeah.
It's the new one down on Fremont
isn't
Street.
that the one that is the big pool?
Yes.
Okay, the rooftop one.
Yeah.
That
I
stadium
went-
swim. That's
I
it.
did a day at Circa during the March Madness this year. Some
Nice.
some friends came in from out of town,
A good
and
time.
we rented some chairs there in the sports book. We had access to the stadium swim.
That's a great place
So we
to
watched
hang.
some stuff down in the sports book. We went up and swam and watched some stuff
Investing
up there. It
in
was great.
more pools in your casino, a good move
Yeah.
as global
You
warming
can sit
continues.
there and watch the hockey games.
You
Vegas
could.
Golden Knights
Exactly.
play. Yep.
Shit, you could sit
Yep.
there in December and probably be pretty damn comfortable. So Jared's in the lead with 1.
He is.
And now it's Kellyanne's official question.
Kellyanne, what Las Vegas attraction is housed inside a former federal courthouse and U.S. Post Office building?
Of course you know it. Here, you want options?
Options.
Options. A, the Neon Museum. B, the Mob Museum. C, the Bellagio Gallery of Fine Art. D, Madame Tussauds.
Mob Museum?
Is correct.
Boom! Snag that point.
Tie game.
Got it. Have you been to the Mob Museum?
I have.
That is a
Pretty
good
neat.
place.
Yes,
It's so
pretty
fun.
neat.
You know, it's one of those best kept secrets because you hear about it. Like my mom and her friends came to town the other day and they were all staying on Fremont, which is there next to the Mob. And I told her, you guys have got to go there and say, it kind of sounds lame. We're not here for museums. We're here to like party and have fun. I was like, there is a speakeasy
cool.
underneath
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
thing.
for sure.
You have got to go there.
The
They make their own
underground.
hooch. It's awesome. So go check out the Mob Museum, listeners. Tell them Jim sent you.
All right, Jared, for the lead. Which Las Vegas casino was famously imploded live on television in 1996?
1996.
1996.
I remember watching it.
It was immediately following
Live.
1995.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Was the summer of
I need
96.
options. I'm sorry.
Options. The Dunes, the Stardust, the Riviera, the Desert Inn.
All good explosions. 96.
96.
The Dunes, the Stardust, the Riv, or the DI.
Of all of them, I liked the Riviera the most.
I loved the Riviera.
It was a cool
The landmark was the best.
The landmark was
landmark.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna guess Desert Inn. I don't know.
Shooting from
Can
the
I
hip.
steal? Can I steal?
Incorrect.
Incorrect. It
Desert
passes
Inn is
over
incorrect.
to Janet.
It was the Dunes.
It was the
Bing,
Dunes.
bing, bing, bing.
And I watched it from the 30th floor of the Mirage Hotel as it went down.
Yep. That's
And
where the
then-
Wynn was built,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Is the Dunes.
No, the Bellagio is there.
Oh, the Bellagio is where the
Yeah,
Dunes
the
is.
Bellagio.
What was where Wynn is? Was that Desert Inn?
Frontier, wasn't
Desert
it?
Inn.
No, Frontier
was
was across the
Desert Inn
street.
And
Okay.
they've never built anything else there.
No fair. She's a native.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, she knows
has
it
the
all.
native advantage.
Well, here's
there. She's
another
definitely
piece
gonna
of
win.
trivia about that is Kiss, the band, filmed in the dunes prior, and then there was a whole show about them blowing up the building themselves.
Oh, nice. They made that part of the bit.
Little Gene Simmons blow up, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Kiss putt-putt golf thing yet?
Yes, I was just
It's a
going to say
Rio.
I went there.
Did you go?
Yes.
I bought
Years
Nick a
ago.
gift card to that.
It's super
I don't
fun.
think he ever went. Is it
Super
cool?
fun. Yes,
Oh.
super
Yeah,
fun.
Damn it.
Yeah.
We need to get Nick to take us.
I
Yeah,
used to
we
check,
do.
I used
Gift
to
card.
check in Gene Simmons at the Mirage all the time with his
Really?
family. Yeah, he would never stick his tongue out for any of us, though. We asked him.
Assholes.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
he gets it a lot. So
Yeah.
great
Oh,
job.
we have a tie game.
We have a tie game.
Tie game.
1-1.
Three-way tie.
Kellyanne coming up in second place
Yep.
at 0. You have another
No,
shot.
no. Everybody's got a point.
What? How did Kellyanne get one?
She answered her question.
I
Yeah, she
the
got her
Mob
question right.
Museum.
Museum.
I missed.
God,
Oh, that's right,
Lord.
Mob Museum.
You were still in the speakeasy.
Yeah.
There was a
Whatever.
lot
I
of
was,
passing
yeah,
in
I
that
was
game. Yeah, it got a
mentally-
little confusing, but
Thank
everybody
you.
got a point.
All right, we're off to a great start. Second question of the night. Anxiety after my spouse was laid off. Hi, everyone. Foxy Sally here. Fairly recent therapod and not regretting it yet. I heard you've got...
Just wait.
Yeah,
Just wait.
give it time.
I got you, Sally.
I've heard you've got room for questions, and I can't afford my therapist at the moment, so I have plenty. Here's the most pressing. So, I've been an anxious person for as long as I can remember. I have a massive need to be in control, which suits my husband as he's the most laid-back person ever and actively likes me to take the reins in life.
Oh, I'm glad you found each other.
Yeah,
that
very
doesn't
good,
always
man.
work
That's
out,
lucky
but that's
in a
great.
way.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
It's worked for us for over 30 years, but I do sometimes feel as though I've made my life the stressful one, and I worry for both of us. It's true. Anyhow, my husband's company announced mass redundancies in January. He'd specifically moved to this job last year, and it was a promotion. Sadly, that meant he'd not been there long enough for any job security. It was a month's notice, then gone. No payout or anything. We live in the United Kingdom, and there are more job protections
I
here.
thought so.
Once you've been-
Redundancies.
Redundancies.
Yeah.
Redundancies. More job protections here once you've been 2 years in the job. He's applied for so many jobs, but despite being really skilled in his area, he's been rejected for almost everything. He's nearly 60 now, and despite the government saying we all have to work until our 70s, it seems that companies just don't want you once they think you're old. So it's very disheartening, and he's been quite depressed. I've been in a near constant state of panic since the redundancies were announced at the start of January. I'm constantly nagging him to check his emails, phone people, sort this out, sort that out, etc. I'm awake night after night. I have bad dreams. I've stopped going out with friends in case it costs me a couple of pounds for a drink. If I do meet up and have fun with anyone, I can't stop the intrusive thoughts about how my husband is never going to get a job and we are going to starve to death. I know. I work part-time in London, and homelessness here is terrible. Rows and rows of people lining the streets to sleep at night. Places where there are hordes.
Well, at least you won't be lonely.
There you go. You'll make new friends. Glass half full. Hordes of tiny tents are set up, and it's constantly a reminder of what can easily happen. The cost of living here is at a crisis, even for those with jobs, let alone those without. The stupid thing is, I have a bit saved, so we aren't going to starve to death, at least for a few months. He also finally has a potential job starting at the end of the month, and an interview next week for something else. I work too, and although my money isn't enough to live on long term, it seems we would be okay probably at least until the early summer, so none of this panic is really logical. I've done all the usual cognitive behavioral therapy things, gone over techniques my therapist gave me when I was seeing him, such as what's the worst that could happen, how likely is that, what's the most likely outcome, etc. But none of them are really working because they can't cut through the sheer panic I'm feeling on a daily basis. I think it may be more to do with needing stability in my life and needing to be in control than a genuine fear we're going to end up destitute. I don't do well with change. Even things I'm desperate to change, I really struggle with. My mom, or mum, I believe in English, was agoraphobic her whole life.
I think that's just that one person.
I think it's just specifically her. Her whole life, and struggled going more than a mile or two from our home at best, and rarely did. I vowed so much to be adventurous and more of a risk taker, and yet here I am, panicking at every life change. Please help me calm down. I really want to let go of control a bit because the situation isn't even something I can really control anyway. The stupid thing is now is probably the time I need my old therapist most, but having to pay such a lot each week for therapy without the income to cover it was making me way more anxious than not having therapy was.
Yeah, fair.
That's fair. I did tell him this was why I was stopping, so at least he knows that. Sadly, there's basically no free provision here in the United Kingdom other than 6 weeks of counseling or CBT with the National Health Services, for which the waiting list is at best a year away. Wow. God damn.
No, the best part of a year.
Thank you. Yeah. I don't speak English. I have to say, I always feel that CBT is a bit pretend your shitty life isn't shitty. And it doesn't usually stop the anxiety.
A bit.
But I'm up for it. Well, maybe most solutions. Anyway, many thanks, Foxy Sally. Oh, gaslighting
Sally.
CBT, right? Yeah.
I mean, fortunately, we don't come across these very often where I just have the answer.
Oh, okay,
at the end of the email.
Yeah.
Clearly, we're bringing more people onto this show. Your husband could just come work for us.
There you go.
Yeah.
We're hiring. Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. Husband's a therapist? Not? I don't care.
Yeah.
We'll give him a job.
Moving on.
Just solve that.
Great question, Ryan.
You're welcome.
So this kind of anxiety is very relatable. I mean, this person's in England. Here in America, our current administration's cutting every damn job. You know, we're seeing a reduction.
Oh, is
stock
something
market
happening?
crash.
I hadn't really been watching
Don't
a lot
turn
of
on the
news.
news. Don't do it.
Okay,
You'll
okay.
be better off. Just
Yeah,
fine. Just
fine.
watch sports. You'll be
Yeah,
great.
great.
But yeah, I mean, we see this all the time. And obviously being Vegas providers, boy, has our community been hit time and time again. We saw the great housing collapse crush the job market. We saw COVID. Our entire city was shut down. Tourism industry was destroyed. We have dealt with a lot of people dealing with financial anxiety. And that's always a really hard thing, right? Because so often people come to us and they say, I'm anxious that insert a catastrophic fear. I'm scared I'm just going to randomly get a disease or this or that. And we can help them right size that fear by helping them rationalize how unlikely that is. But when you're dealing with a real problem of scarcity, real bread and butter fear of like, look, man, I'm not making this crap up. My husband lost his job.
There is a problem.
This is real, and poverty's real, and I can math out exactly how long I can survive.
Yeah.
It dishonors the patient if we minimize or become a little. And the patient's kind of saying like, yeah, your guys' CBT bullshit has like a shelf life.
The change your mind, change your life is not going to work.
No, change my money, change my life.
Yeah.
So Kelly, I noticed as we were talking about the gaslighting effect of CBT sometimes that you were laughing at that. Give us some feedback to this. As you hear this, tell us how it lands and tell us some thoughts initially.
Well, I cued into her mom being agoraphobic.
Oh, me too.
And when I heard that, I heard, oh my gosh, attachment, connection with her mom. It's been taught to her. All of her neurons are firing about fear and anxiety.
It's in her genes.
It's in her genes.
Makeup,
right. Yeah. So this is why CBT has not been landing for her and why the therapist just, it hasn't served her. So it landed in a way that said, gosh, I'm really scared. And what do I do when I'm scared? Do you lean into someone or do you keep it to yourself?
Right.
And I don't know if she's leaning into her husband about it because she has to be in control.
Right. And husband's already a little depressed.
Yes.
And sometimes when we're the anxious person, we want to go to our depressed spouse and say, oh my God, do you think we're going to be okay? And they're like, well, I'm just going to kill myself now, I guess. Like, I'm sorry that you're so scared.
Mix.
I'm going to die.
Right.
Yeah. But I hear you saying, look, she comes by it honestly. You know, whenever you were raised in an agoraphobic household, you were hypervigilant. You were taught to react with big fear to all the stimuli.
Yep. And also probably caretaking that mother too. Yeah. That's where some of the control might come from. I have to make sure mom's okay, so the house is okay, so I'm okay, dad's a hoop, however that might look for her.
Right. So we get raised in this crock pot of fear.
Yes.
It's now in us.
It's in our cells.
We were referencing, the epigenetic code, and rewritings there that, this stuff sticks to you, especially, and Ryder didn't talk about this, but I think we've all seen that some people, if you're coming from low socioeconomic status, there's a trauma to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes they carry that with them too, the scarcity mindset. Sure. And there's a lot of fear of like, oh no, if I lose my job, I'll be on the street or I'll be homeless again.
Yeah.
It's like, no, the
Financial
math doesn't
trauma.
say that'll happen. Financial trauma, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Especially when she's seeing it every day as she's leaving and going out in the communities.
Yeah. And Vegas, we relate. That's been increasingly a problem. Affordability is a problem. California adjacent to us, we've seen that same thing. And so, whenever you see this kind of financial stuff in your neighborhood, it's never very far away. And I hate to keep banging the trauma drum, but this sounds related to some of your expertise here.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much going on in this question. Like,
Right.
I mean, the way that I hear that is just like, it's so fast and it's so
Right.
much, because this is just the way she's thought about it over and over and over and over and over again.
Right.
Like, that's like what I would get. And it's, I think, a lot about slowing down again, like just even in the moment. I'm not trying to dismiss it and just like, all you have to do is breathe and you'll be fine. But like sometimes you do just have to breathe a little bit and you'll be fine. Like,
Name it to tame it.
yeah.
Certainly won't hurt.
Yeah.
Breathing's good.
Yeah.
I find it pulls very well
Yes.
every time we survey.
The deeper the breath, the better too.
Yes.
Oxygen, still very popular.
Prepare for war. Those 3 deep breaths.
Oh, tell us more about that. Say more.
Yes. So having to go into a hot type call and you don't know what's going to be in front of you. You take those 3 big deep breaths, you hold it for 3, out for 3. And that was taught. It was taught over and over for officers to be able to think clearly.
Oh, wow.
So those 3 deep breaths mean a lot.
Okay.
It's
wow.
just enough.
So when I see the Henderson PD breathing into that bag right before they kick in my door on the Ring doorbell, I know that they're just getting ready. Yeah,
Yes,
this
they
is
can
game
think
time.
better.
Yeah.
You have enough time for 3 breaths and then
I can jump
Now
over the
you
back
know.
fence, like
Yes.
3 breaths
You
to
got
run.
the secret.
You're about to have a bad day.
You're about to have a bad day. The officer pulls up and breathes hard. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, shit. This is not a kitten in a tree scenario. I'm in deep shit. No, but this is a good point. And I'm glad both of you brought up the physiological aspect of anxiety, because the writer's saying sometimes when you guys just tell me what to do cognitively to reframe it, it can come off dismissive to my real experience.
Right.
And I'm hearing you say exactly. And sometimes breathing sounds dismissive, but in this case, sometimes that's the one thing you might have some control over.
Yeah.
Sort of getting yourself grounded and oriented a little bit into your body, and at least have a fair fight with those thoughts. That way you're not like, because you don't even notice your blood's
Right.
pumping, your
Yeah.
heart's pumping, you're breathing.
Yeah,
it's all happening.
That's the problem. There's people don't notice what their body's doing until it's
Right.
I'm collapsed now. Yeah.
Right.
And you
That's
can't
when it gets
logically
over.
think when you're
No,
in your
you
right
sure
side of your
can't.
brain.
No.
You can't.
Yeah.
Whenever you have clients that are coming in and they're talking about real felt needs, right? They're saying, we are having some financial stress in our household. I'm scared about what we're going to do. As a therapist, I think I don't know if y'all feel this way, but I'll confess that I do. There's been times whenever I feel a little powerless, right? Because I look at them and go, man, you have like a real felt challenge in your life, and we're going to talk a lot about it. And sometimes I feel like that's not enough. And I really like almost feel a little insecure about that, like a little imposter syndrome. Like, damn it, I wish I could. You need a caseworker. Like,
I have often said I'm a MFT, marriage and family therapist with a social worker brain. Like, let's shift into where we can find resources.
Problem
Let's look together.
solving.
Yeah.
But what
Let's take half of this time to figure that out.
the part that I really like with what I do is I get them embodied in that moment of that fear. When you were just saying that fear, I'm like, oh my gosh, where does that land? And I have them share that with their partner, and it promotes co-regulating. It brings calmness between the two. And so that's really what people are trying to do, is how do we be in those feelings, not dismiss it, and you can't talk me out of it.
Yeah.
You've got to just feel it. But when you feel it, who can you turn to? Your partner.
yeah, co-regulation.
Co-regulate.
And again, I'm glad you brought up couples therapy, because obviously this is about the relationship.
Absolutely.
My spouse lost his job.
Yeah.
He is chill,
depressed.
but he's also depressed. He doesn't get anxious though. So I worry for both of us.
Yeah.
And then that's an interesting kind of disequilibrium there. And ironically, we've all seen the data that when we think about causes of divorce or things that, add stress to the relationship, financial distress
there.
is like
It
number
is-
one.
It is number one.
Yeah. So it's interesting, because I think when people think of couples therapy, they often don't think that we would care about financial literacy. But we absolutely do,
Yeah.
because it's going to be something they bring up. And if we're sitting here twiddling our thumbs, acting like we've never heard of money before, we're going to be on Mars. Like, they're going to be like, you are not a good therapist for us, because you're not appreciating the real world challenge that's scaring us.
That's not why they're going to say you're not a good therapist.
Look, they got divorced on their own time, okay? It didn't happen in session. It doesn't count.
They
Whatever
stay
happens.
together, though. I still, I
Right?
don't know. I feel like
Thank
that
you,
is
Jared.
Yeah.
I love
would
the
give that
silver
a win.
linings I'm getting off of Jared here.
Yeah.
They wanted to be
Fishing
friends.
it. Yeah,
they
it's
wanted
pulling
to stay
tragedy
friends.
away and saying, no, this is a victory, Jim.
Gotta
You're
have
not
silver
they never
linings.
looked
All these
happier.
couples that you're counseling
Jared,
are
you
just
get to come
divorced.
back in the future. You are
Yes.
reinvited.
That
You
was my
two are on
goal.
my
I
freaking American
it.
radar. Let's get some positive Jim affirmations. Okay, my ego
Lord,
needs help.
Okay,
Lord Colonel, damn it.
There you go.
I've earned it. But not doctor. I lost that.
Yeah.
But no,
He did
on this
earn it.
point
I did
of
lost it.
like counseling couples through financial distress, that's unique, right?
And especially if the therapist has some financial distress or has had, your own stuff
Sure.
sometimes comes up.
The transference
There it
Yeah.
is, yeah.
up.
That's how I ended up being a therapist. 9/11 happened, and everybody in the hotel industry lost their job. And I'm like,
Oh, wow.
well, what do I want to do now?
Because you were a dolphin trainer.
Yes, I was.
In the lobby. A lobby
in the
dolphin
lobby,
trainer.
in the lobby, yes.
Well, it'd be silly to put the
Yeah.
dolphin trainer anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So you got into this career because of financial
Right.
distress.
I thought,
and said, I'm gonna try
what do I
something new.
really want to do with my life? I shifted from helplessness to helpfulness with myself.
Wow.
How do I do that? How do I help myself? Because nobody else is going to do it.
Yeah.
And I have kids at home, and my husband, I wasn't the breadwinner, but I needed to figure it out.
Right.
Yeah.
That just side note here, because I think that's interesting. The three of us, Kellyanne, Janet, and myself, and I don't know if this is your truth, Jared, but I don't think I heard it in your backstory. We all came to this as second careers.
Yes.
I was an educator. I was a teacher, a high school teacher for a decade. And then I came into this later. And it is interesting, I think, whenever you've, not to say that there's a therapist that's life experience is superior to another. We all need to be different because our clients are different, and we refer to each other because we think this person's got something you need. But I've noticed that life experience sometimes does help.
Sure.
Because it's like, okay, I might relate to the situation. And you're kind of saying, for this writer, I relate to financial peril.
I get it.
You come in my office and you tell me this, I am sitting forward in my chair.
And I'm going to one step into your dysregulation and be there with you, but keep one foot in my regulation so we can co-regulate.
I like
So I can
that.
feel it with you, but I can also bring you into my regulation with some breathing or some whatever we need to do.
Right. And then we play games.
And then we play some Uno and yeah.
Have you heard of this new one called Uno No Mercy?
I've played it. It's
Jesus.
fantastic.
It is violent. There's
I
like a
think
draw 10.
We need
it's just
a therapist
aggressive.
meet up for that. I know you need all these
I played
cards,
with
yeah.
my kids on Sunday, and it was absolute violence. Like you can drop a plus 10, and then the next person can also drop a plus 10,
That's
and then
plus
you can get hit with a
20?
plus 20,
No.
and if you get 25 cards, you're eliminated from the game.
My hands aren't big enough for
And
all
we're
those.
therapists.
Right.
And we're therapists, and we don't do math, so it's hard.
I know we're terrible at this.
Yeah.
My kids are telling me like, "Dad, you're out." And I'm like, "I'll tell you when I'm out." No, that's the rules, Dad. Whatever. But no, the financial distress really can mess up a relationship. That can put a lot of pressure on us here. And I think that we're approaching this from every direction. We're looking at the writer and saying, we want to respect your felt experience. We don't want to be dismissive of that. We also don't want CBT to get too bad of a rap because like sometimes we do need to reality check a little, like and right size our fear a little bit. And does anybody use CBT in here?
No.
No,
All
it's
shaking
not on
heads.
purpose.
Just the oil.
Just
Isn't that CBT?
I don't know.
I prefer the gummies. Wait, what? Okay, so no fans of cognitive behavioral therapy in here. What is the criticism of it? Let's put that on there since the writer seems to be saying it's
Science
unhelpful.
doesn't support it anymore, right? Like,
Okay.
Science supports what your nervous system is doing. Are you fight, flight, freeze? All the things that your body is doing, not just what your brain is doing.
Okay.
Yeah, and our amygdala that is also a right and left. Like the left side is like everything's on fire, but the right side's like let's color and feel better.
Okay.
So how can we lean into the creativity to bring the anxiety down?
So if I'm hearing you right, when you're treating anxiety, you're going to take them into, I think I'm hearing you say a more physiological
Yes,
approach, mind-body
yes.
relationship,
Yeah,
somatic.
I'm going to do some psychoed about what's happening when they're feeling anxious.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this is your parasympathetic nervous system. It's firing off.
Yeah, and you have some cortisol surging, and you probably have a little bit of like dopamine addiction. Like I'm going
Right.
to get all this cortisol and have anxiety because after it's done, oh man, I feel better.
Okay.
How do I get back to that?
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. So CBT thoughts over here?
I just always felt a little, a Band-Aid. It was kind of like
Okay.
the vibe that I got. And not, if you need to do something, I'm scared of flying and I want to be able to fly by June.
Right.
Okay.
Something very specific.
Yeah. So I think I don't want to like bash on it too
Sure.
much, but to me it's like, but why is it happening versus like, what's the deeper thing? There's something
Okay.
going on there.
Where's
Oh,
the
that's
genesis
definitely
of that
true,
feeling?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
individuality, I think, is left out of CBT.
Yeah.
Everyone deals with emotions differently. Everyone has different parts of their brain working. It's not being honored. We can't just tell someone what to
And
do.
we talked about epigenetics. Everybody that had a mother that mother was
yeah.
anxious, like there it is.
They're all
right?
systems.
Yeah.
They're all
Yeah.
family systems. Yes.
Yeah. I like this. This is really good thoughts. I'm downloading a lot from you here. And so in this situation, writer's saying, when CBT tries to come in and help me reframe my context of this fear, in my situation, my fear is valid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just reacting to this fear in an unhelpful way.
Yes.
That's not allowing me to be solution focused. It's not going to make it better in our household. I'm preoccupied with my fears, and that's not making me a better partner.
And also, she's catastrophizing them.
Yes.
We will be homeless, you know.
Right.
Right.
Is that a definite possibility? Sure, but it's not going to happen tomorrow.
It's not the likely
Right.
possibility,
Yes.
or probably
Yes.
not the likely possibility.
Well, and
yes.
she's also not really leaning into her husband because he's got depression. And the point of these really strong feelings is to lean into another. We're not meant to do life alone. We need someone to help be with us in those difficult spaces. She's talking about he's not really accessible. He's depressed.
And
I
how
see.
lonely must he be feeling because he's not able to support? Yeah.
Yes, and that goes into the man card of I'm not able to provide.
Can we
So
get
he's
them in to see
depressing.
Kellyanne, maybe? That might help.
Yeah.
Then they
Hop
can
a
come
flight.
over,
Co-regulate
do some
that.
Santray. We'll work it out.
That's right. You could just do telehealth with Kellyanne, but let me give you a tip. Don't tell her you're in Britain. Just, say something like Henderson. I'm just down the street. I'm in Summerlin right
That's
now.
called consultation.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. There's always a way.
Yes.
We can always find a way around
Skirt
this. Heard you on a podcast. I just want to do some psycho ed. Yeah, sure, we can do that. Can't bill your insurance, but you don't have one anyway. You're in England. But no, this is some really good stuff. And I will nudge that CBT has a time and a place.
Absolutely,
It's in the toolkit.
Yes.
And even that reference to catastrophizing, that is from the CBT vocab, which is, hey, are you taking something that is bad and perceiving it at a catastrophic level? Can we right size that? Maybe your husband doesn't get a job. That sucks. I'm so sorry. Maybe you burn through 2 months of savings. That sucks. I'm so sorry. Maybe you need to apply for public assistance. Maybe you miss the rent. Maybe you have to ask for leniency on your rent or your mortgage. That sucks. I'm so sorry. Maybe you have to get public food stamps. I assume England has something like that. They have food after all. That sucks. I'm so sorry. But let's right size the danger, and let's also continue to hold that core truth. You're going to be okay. Like, it might be really disruptive to your life. You're going to be bigger than this moment. You will endure. You will survive, which is important when we talk about right-sizing fear. It's not dismissing fear, but it's like you talk to a high school kid and they're like, oh my God, I got an F on my paper. It's all over. And you're like, hey, worst case, you repeat the class.
That's often the parent that's saying all that.
Sure.
That's true.
But you've
You're
got those
gonna
high
be-
achievers, those perfectionists, and they say, oh no, this
Yeah.
bad thing. And you say, look, you might get mud on your dress. That stinks. And it may be ruined. I'm sorry. Let's grieve that. But also, you're going to get beyond this, right? And that there is some reframe that I think is part of the toolkit that could show up here, while also, I think, being solution focused, because they do need some case management.
Yes, for sure.
And husband is making progress. I mean, Ryder did say, hey, we think it's going to be okay.
Interview, and he's might get this other job. It sounded like
Might work out.
So hopefully,
Yeah.
but
So anyway, Ryder, I think what we're all recommending is open up a foot OnlyFans. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're talking about sentimental hoarding. You're listening to Pod Therapy. And today's episode is brought to you by these other therapy producers I've selected randomly, like Malia, Leon Kassab, Mason Miller, Richard Macy, Carolyn Albert, Kevin Chamberlain, Tess Miller, and Sammy Scoop. It is a tie game, a dead heat in the Las Vegas Knowledge Trivia-a-thon with a lot of passes and a lot of shuffling of the questions. This happened in an odd way. I like it. Nobody's shooting for the hip for two. You
No, not
almost
yet.
did.
I tried.
But it's a damn good thing you didn't, because you'd have missed it.
Yes.
All right, Janet, back
Yes.
to you.
Okay.
What hotel casino, known for its neon cowboy Vegas Vic, opened in 1946
Vegas
and
Vic.
helped shape Las Vegas?
You want to shoot from the hip or you want options?
You just know it?
I'm thinking it's the Las Vegas. It's the Las Vegas. Oh, gosh. I remember going down Fremont Street when you could drive on it, and we'd roll the windows down to hear it say, "Howdy, partner."
I can see it in like a movie. I can
I want to say
I barely
it
live here, I feel
was. It was in the middle of the.
Jacob, you might want to
downtown.
fact check that
Give me
question.
some-
I am. I'm fact checking it right now.
Because I remember the answer I saw, and now I'm hearing this and going, yeah, I have a problem with that answer.
Oh, interesting.
I think the year might be wrong because neon wasn't that 1946, right? Is that the year?
Yes.
The Google says 1951.
51.
Okay.
The Google is always right.
Google
Yeah.
can't lie.
It's like the Batmobile to the Google.
That's
Yes,
right.
to the Google.
what are my options of answers?
Okay.
Yeah.
I am skeptical of these options.
Yeah. Feel free to make referee decisions on this.
Yeah. I'm gonna. We have the Sands. The El Rancho, Las Vegas.
That was that burned down.
There is the Pioneer Club, and there is, what's that last one say? Oh, the Golden Nugget.
Well, it wasn't the Golden Nugget. The Pioneer Club is too far down and too old. I don't think it's on there. Is the answer is one of the answers on there? Because the Sands is on the strip, the El Rancho is on the corner.
This is meta as hell. Janet's like, fuck your question.
I'm gonna go with the Pioneer Club.
The Pioneer Club, according to the Google, is correct.
Yeah,
That feels right.
According to the question, it's the Flamingo.
Yeah. There's no way in hell it's the Flamingo.
no.
Yeah.
Well, because the Flamingo has been in two different locations.
Oh.
There's the original Flamingo, and then there's the Flamingo where it is now. And so it might have been, I don't know.
The original Flamingo is behind where the Flamingo is.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay. So the
one is
Google
complicated.
says Pioneer Club, which means we got it right.
Yeah.
1 point to Janet.
That was exhausting.
That was. I love that you showed your math, though. Like, as you were answering, you were carefully explaining to us, this one burned down. This one, okay, I learned a lot about Las Vegas just
The
now.
Sands is now the Venetian. Yeah.
That's right.
Yes. It's still owned by Sands.
Yes.
Like, it's still Sands Corp. Yeah. Kelly.
Yeah.
Which famous mobster is often credited with helping develop Las Vegas's casino scene in the 1940s? Lucky Luciano, Bugsy Siegel, Al Capone, or Meyer Lansky? Meyer Lansky.
Mayor. My baloney has a first name.
I believe that's what I said.
Yeah.
I'm just spelling it.
Oh.
Because there are two different ways you could spell the word mayor.
Oh.
You could spell it like the person who's in charge of a city.
Or John.
Or John.
Yeah. John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Nailed it.
Good luck, Kellyanne.
Al Capone?
Incorrect.
Pass.
Incorrect. Jared,
Dang, that's who I was going
it passes to you. Al Capone was more Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what are the options again?
Lucky Luciano, Bugsy Siegel, or Mayor Lansky?
Bugsy Siegel.
Bugsy Siegel is correct.
Nailed it.
Yep.
Woo, a stolen point. We got a tie game, 2-2. Jared could run away with the lead.
Jared could win right now.
Wow.
Which
Pressure.
Las Vegas hotel had a live lion habitat inside its property?
That
Also, there's a
feels like-
follow-up question. Which Las Vegas hotel had a dead lion habitat in its property? It was
Spoiler.
much more upsetting. And it was the Excalibur.
All right, here are your options. Do you want options or do you want to
options or
shoot?
you don't know it?
Give me options.
Okay. I do feel like you could figure this one out.
Yeah.
The Mirage, the MGM Grand, the Circus, or the Excalibur. Oh, I didn't even realize the Excalibur was on the list when I just made that.
When you made the joke?
Yeah.
Can you say the question again?
Which Las Vegas hotel once had a live lion habitat inside its property? And I'm telling the truth. I ain't lying.
There it is.
The Mirage.
Oh,
Was it not the Mirage?
The Mirage is incorrect.
No?
They had white tigers, not
Tigers!
I did go see the
Siegfried
White
and
Tiger.
Roy.
And they, of course, had very well-trained
It
dolphins.
should be in the MGM Grand. That makes sense.
true.
The whole
Yeah.
lion head. Okay.
Yeah, it's the MGM Grand.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
right there.
So that means we have a tie
We have a tie.
Oh.
since we didn't
We didn't
pass
have
to
the
Janet.
opportunity to steal.
You did not because we just answered it. But
Yeah,
that's
that's
okay
true.
because we have a tiebreaker question.
Tiebreaker.
No.
What
Perfect.
is the what do we want to do here?
Everybody gets an answer.
Okay.
Kellyanne's
Oh.
back in the game.
Yes. Great.
Nice, I like it.
This is worth 10 points.
There you go.
What is the
We
only
do this a
major
lot on the
Las
show.
Vegas strip resort not technically located in the city of Las Vegas? What is the only major Las Vegas strip resort not technically located in the city of Las Vegas? I think we will start with Janet.
I'm going to go with the Stratosphere.
The Stratosphere. Janet says the Stratosphere is not located in Las
It is
Vegas.
very far north.
Kellyanne.
I was going to say the Stratosphere is old Las Vegas or Old Town is what came to my mind. So I'm going to second.
City.
Naked City. There you go. I couldn't think of
Okay,
that.
you want to also double down on Strat.
I do.
All
Okay.
right, 2 on Strat.
City of Las Vegas. So that's the key because there's a county too.
Doctor?
Mm,
I know you're not talking to me.
I'm not.
You're the Lord.
There you go.
You're Mr.
Colonel.
Lord.
Colonel Lord.
Just missed her now.
yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
Shot in the dark?
Like
You could just pick one and might get lucky.
Just pick one. I might get lucky. The MGM Grand.
Can I change?
Always solid.
I think I want to change again.
Oh.
Read
Go
the
for it.
question one more time.
We'll allow it.
There's a key, something.
Yes,
there.
read
What?
it one more time.
What is the only major Las Vegas Strip resort not technically located in the city of Las Vegas?
Okay.
And I will tell you, it's a touch of a trick question.
You think?
It's not exactly a straightforward answer. It's a trick question here.
Strip hotel.
I'm thinking that is it the M all the way on?
Oh, that's a
at
bold
the
answer.
end, almost to Henderson.
Because that is Las Vegas
St.
Boulevard
Rose and Las Vegas.
St. Rose.
So I'm going to say that one.
So we've got the Strat, which is the northernmost hotel. We've got the M, which is the southernmost hotel. And we've got MGM, which is right in the middle. But you know what? I love your courage.
Yeah.
I'm also
Like
thinking
a
about
lion
Jerry's
over
Nugget.
here.
I like
in
the
North
lion.
Las Vegas. Jerry's Nugget.
Yeah.
All right. And the answer is?
The answer is also Las Vegas Strip Resort. I don't think Jerry's Nugget is definitely not on the Strip.
Yeah.
And then the M, I don't think is technically on the Strip. I think the Strip runs between the Strat and Mandalay
Russell
Bay.
And I forgot. I think it's Desert Inn and Russell is the official parameters of
I
the
don't know.
Strip.
Anyway, the answer is all of them. Most strip resorts are in Paradise, Nevada, not Las Vegas proper.
Yeah.
The Strip,
City of
the
Las
Strip is one of
Vegas
those county
Does not
commissionership
convince.
things.
Oh, what is it? Unincorporated Clark County?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the trick.
Trick.
Yeah.
Jerry's
Fooled.
Nugget is on North Las Vegas Boulevard.
Okay.
Just letting you know. Prime Road.
Noted. Noted. Great job, everybody. You all tied and or lost. I don't know. Look at it either way. Last question of the night is on sentimental hoarding. And it says,
Oh, hoarding.
yeah.
Oh,
it's
this is
different.
less interesting than I
Yeah.
thought it was going to be.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, the title might be nonsense, but I liked it. So I have mixed feelings about my question, but I don't think I've heard something similar on Pod Therapy before, so I wanted to write in. Miscellaneous details. I'm a 36-year-old man, and my biological parents are in their 70s and still married. Anyway, my parents are getting older and having health problems, and they've been clearing out their house for when they go to the farm, which by that I mean retirement community. They have a ridiculous amount of stuff from mine and my sister's childhoods that they find sentimental, but I don't give a shit about. For example, report cards, art projects, books, and graded tests from kindergarten through 8th grade. I don't remember making any of this stuff or care about it in the slightest, but I feel bad about throwing it out because my mom cares about it. It's obviously sentimental to her, but not to me. We live 5 hours away from each other, so she always gives me a bunch of stuff from my childhood to take home with me anytime I visit, which I just end up throwing out. She will usually ask on the phone later what I did with the stuff and then express sadness when I say I tossed it. And she knows I'm living in an apartment downtown in a big city and don't really have room to store stuff that's not important to me. There are also other underlying issues, like my parents being emotionally immature. So I end up trying to toe the line between having boundaries and trying to coach them with how to deal with their feelings in healthy ways. For example, when I talk to my mom on the phone, she regularly complains about one of her sisters being rude to her, and I try to demonstrate to her how she could deal with that rudeness instead of moping to me about it. I've also not told them that I've been in therapy for 5 years because it would turn into, oh, so we failed you as parents. My mom even joked about, what did I do when I was raising you and your sister for both of you to move away from home after college? And then accused herself of being a bad parent. Of course, we were both fine with moving away because we were raised without emotional support and had to be hyper independent growing up. And when I've tried to be open with my feelings with my dad, he's told me I didn't actually feel that way. Neat. A lot of resentment came out while writing this letter to your show.
No.
Heading into 6 years of
You hit it
therapy.
so well, which I'm still working through in therapy. But generally, how can I deal with my mom being upset about me throwing out 30-year-old papers from my childhood that I don't care about? The straightforward answer is, that's not my problem. But that feels mean to me. And how can I deal with this reservoir of emotional immaturity?
What was that word?
Reservoir. Feels right. Will it always just be me doing the work? Also, my parents are loaded, and I want half of that sweet inheritance. With love, producer Byler T. P.S. Where's my coffee? He expects us to get him coffee because he's on the board of directors
I would
of the show, not our licensing boards. You're
Oh.
fine.
great.
Whoops.
I love this guy. I want to steal him as a client.
You have a fan, Byler.
It's so good and so relatable. I think at least.
This is my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law gets so
My
upset
mother-in-law.
when
I
my
have a great
wife
mother-in-law.
throws things out that are from her childhood, or my mother-in-law will have held on to all these things, and she'll try to give them to my wife, and gets very upset that my wife doesn't want them.
Yeah.
And it's junk.
Right.
It's stuff that I'm like, no, that's not coming to my house. No.
Doesn't come here. So you relate a little bit, and you've met people like this with a little bit of that hoarding. Like, it's hard to purge the stuff. It's memories.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like guilt. There's a little guilt there, and with this emotional immature parent, and so I don't know if you've read Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents or not. I'm just plugging that.
There's
up.
literally
I
a
love that
book
book.
titled
Yes.
Yes.
I was
That
going
is
to
so
recommend
on the
that.
nose.
I was going to say,
You're
because
awesome,
I
Jake.
feel like
That's
he
a great
read
book.
it. Maybe
Yes.
that was why
Okay.
he mentioned that, but maybe not. If not, that's a good one.
a
Maybe
great
also Stop Walking on Eggshells could be a fun read.
Ooh,
Just
I've
to
heard
see
that's a
if that
really good
relates or
book.
anything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So what are some lessons from those kinds of books? What might a person learn?
Well, so it sounds like to me part of it is, yes, it's the emotional maturity is kind of always going to be there. So I think the acceptance, which is not always easy to do, especially with parents, is kind of some of the work
Yeah.
in this regard, because that is how she's going to be. That is how he's going to be, unless they just magically go to therapy or
Right.
whatever. And they're
Which
not
ain't gonna
going
happen.
to. Which are also kind of, maybe that's him being in therapy for 6 years is how he's hearing this phone call with his mom and hearing the upsetness with the sister. And he's like, you could use these skills
Right.
with your sister. And she's like, now,
No.
and it's,
I like the dad's approach. No, you didn't actually feel that way.
you didn't feel
That's not really what happened.
False.
Yeah, you didn't feel that way.
Incorrect.
You're remembering it wrong.
Try again. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dad.
I'll tell you how it really happened.
Right.
And that sucks. So that we're talking about grief here too, because there's a grief of the parents that you deserved and didn't get to have.
Yeah.
Right. And that those emotional needs aren't really being met. And really no one's are. If I look at the parents either, right? There's something
Right.
going on there
Yeah.
where they weren't able to emotionally mature for whatever reason.
That's a really good observation. Yeah, because writers saying, hey, listen, we grew up independent really quickly because we
Yeah.
weren't really nurtured. So,
Yeah.
we moved away.
Yeah.
We don't really need you very much. And you're noticing that absence now.
Right.
Yeah, diagnosis correct.
I'm thinking about the age of the parents too. 70s.
yeah, the
They would have been
70s.
raised by depression era parents who were, we don't have enough feelings to go around because it's the depression. We don't have
Shove
enough
it all down.
support. Yeah.
Shove
You
it all
just
down.
do your best. You pull yourself up by the bootstraps.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
mom sounds like she's attached to the memories of the stuff and not the people that created those. Like
Interesting.
she's attached to stuff. I am a child of depression era parents, and my dad would pick up nails in a parking lot saying, I can use this. Or you'd say, do you have something? I just happen
Right.
to have that, because he kept everything.
Yeah.
So it's a cultural, it's an era type thing as well, where they're like, if we have stuff, we have things. People will see us. We have status because we have stuff.
in scarcity mindset. We were
Yes.
talking
Yes.
earlier about the trauma
Yeah.
of going through scary things financially. That's a really interesting hypothesis
Yeah.
that maybe some of this sentimental hoarding is also like this itchiness about letting go of
Yeah.
something whenever
Right.
you've been through times when you didn't have that.
And there's also she's showing like, look how much I love you. I saved the thing you made in
Yeah.
kindergarten,
This
and now
is
I
how
want
I
you to
show
have
you.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
Did the writer say? Did Byler say if they have kids?
Byler did not mention having children.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
because they live away from mom. They live
Yeah.
5 hours away from mom.
Yeah.
And especially if you have grandkids
Yeah.
around, she's missing people, missing stuff,
Right.
and she's got this stuff from your childhood that
Yeah.
she's being reminded of nice times.
It's
Yeah.
nostalgic. Yeah.
Well, the nostalgia thing, I don't know if any of y'all relate to this. I do this. I have a really hard time. I have little arts and crafts that my daughter made for me. And my office, which Jared and I were talking about having telehealth, that's one of my other favorite things about telehealth is I could decorate however the hell I want because they only see me. They
Yeah.
can't see my desk. And so my desk and walls, my entire office is just covered in arts and crafts from my daughter.
Oh, I love
She just
that.
constantly
Beautiful.
delivers me the next thing. She's like, here, I sewed you this. And I'm like, this is great. And then I love it because I'm looking around and seeing all these cute little things that remind me of my kids. But my wife has come in before and been like, hey, you got to clean this. I'm like, first off, this is my office. This is sacred space, and it's a HIPAA violation for you to even be in here, and I can not call the cops this time. All right.
The do not disturb sign on
That's
the
right.
door.
Did you not see this is please knock sign? Gosh. But like, yeah, she'll say, hey man, you gotta like purge some of this. Like it's getting cluttery, and it breaks my heart. So like, that's my
So there's the
baby made
parent
this for me.
perspective
I
there.
may or may not have a big tub full of things like that in my garage. I know right where it is. I can see the box.
I know.
My kids are like,
throw it
why,
away.
One little
Yes.
tub, yes, for each one of my kids. I
See,
have.
but my mom is very much like this writer's mom too. My mom lives in Tampa, Florida. And so this has been an ongoing drama in my life. But she flies into Vegas to visit the kids and see me. And every time she does, she brings a load of my childhood bullshit.
Rock collection.
Bought my fucking rock collection, which I
Wow.
paid $80 for her to bring on Spirit
It had to be
Airlines.
an overweight. It was an
Her
overweight
bag was overweight.
Your mom.
Well, there were rocks. Yeah.
I get free points, Kellyanne.
come
Don't you
on.
judge me about flying my mom on Spirit.
His mom doesn't fly Spirit. Jim flies his mother on
I had
Spirit.
points and I had to spend them.
Right,
Stupid
Lord,
credit card.
Lord.
I know.
Sure.
And not a high rolling Lord. I'm a Lord on a budget. But no, so like
Spirit budget.
I flew my mom in on Spirit and she like calls me from the airport. Or no, she just paid. She paid for a whole second bag because her first bag weighed too much. And I'm not going to let her pay that. So when she gets there, I Venmo her the money. And I'm like, I'm really sad that they hassled you. And she opens up
Couldn't
her
just
bag
put her
and
on a
pulls
decent
out my
airline, though.
rock collection and gives it to my daughter. I'm like, these are just literally
And now they're
stones
all
from a
on your
Texas yard. Like, why?
Oh.
But like she does this
They're
every
not like
time.
a
She showed up with
curated
my
rock
Ninja
collection?
Turtles, which actually was pretty fucking cool. Like I have all my
Those
old
have
Ninja
value.
Turtles. Yeah, hell yeah, they do. I have all my old
Yeah.
Ghostbusters.
I love it.
So sometimes she wins on this move, okay? But also I'm still pissed off at the rock collection thing. That cost me $80. Like buy new rock. They're rocks. They're not even worth $80.
Don't buy rocks.
Don't buy rocks.
They're rocks.
Hey, Nevada has rocks too. It turns out you don't need these rocks from the 80s. But anyway, so I relate to
These
this.
are old rocks.
These
They're
are
from
just
the 80s.
old rocks. It's silly. Get new rocks.
Well, I'm
Fresh rocks.
curious how you feel that your mom gave you those things.
It's sweet.
There.
It's really sweet. And I don't throw them away though. And so when she brings
The
them now,
hoarding.
I have a whole shelf in
Yeah.
the garage, which is driving my wife crazy. She's like, you don't throw anything out that your daughter gives you. You don't throw any of this toys out that your mom brings you.
You throw everything out that your wife gives you.
I don't need this wedding ring anymore. I save cards, like birthday cards,
Yeah.
anniversary
Oh.
cards. I have like a drawer
Yeah.
filled with them. And I have some weird juju about throwing them away.
Yeah.
So I'll see them and be
I
like, I
feel
need to get
that.
rid of
I
this. And
feel
I'm like,
that.
but what if I do? And
Well,
then
because
I'm
it's a nice, thoughtful thing that somebody sent you.
Yeah.
And it
Especially
feels.
if there's a note.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
It feels a
Sweet.
little. There's a touch of betrayal there.
good. We're all on the same page. Byler, you're a bad son. I think that's what we're trying to say. Take your mom's stuff. Go get a storage shed and pay a modest fee.
No, because I'm curious about like the emotionally immature aspect is what really stood out to me for
Me as well.
for this. So like, and I don't know, but the way that I read it or heard it was really more like this is coming from a place of parents are using some sort of manipulation or guilt,
Manipulative,
and I think there's a lot
yeah.
of guilt.
Yeah, there was.
I
guilt
feel
in some of those.
guilty. I feel shame about this, but at the same time, there was truth. Like he told his mom,
Right.
"I threw them away. I tossed them."
I was surprised at the honesty.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
have lied. I have lied. Don't listen to this, Mom.
This is
And also, this is his side of the story. You don't know what mom's motivation is of giving him the
yeah, but he's the
things.
client
Yeah,
now.
sure.
So like you know what I mean? To
Yeah,
me,
we'll
he's-
take his side.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to recruit him as a client. I
Yeah,
guess.
of course
That's why
you
it makes sense. So he's already my client, right? So like when you're
That is
thinking
our
about
traditional
him,
point of view on this show: is we just believe anything that people write
Yeah,
us,
it's
and then
your
we go from there.
perspective.
Yeah, that's all we got.
That's their truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, maybe Byler does feel a little manipulated here, but honorable that Byler's like, no, Mom, I threw that away.
Yeah, and I think maybe the 5 hours away thing is also a boundary that maybe was set. Like, I just think it's maybe
Yeah.
the guilt about actually setting reasonable boundaries at the same time. You live in a small apartment. You cannot take tubs
Right.
of crafts back with you. It's nice that she has them.
Gosh,
But-
you know, that's perfect. And you know what's interesting about that too, and Kellyanne, I know I keep pigeonholing you with couple stuff, but like you're the only one of us that's like identified as proactively trying to do couple stuff. But you know, this is interesting, right? Because sometimes one member of the couple or the dyad in this case, imposes their values and their expectations and their desires on the other one. And say like, hey, look, this matters to me. So this is my favorite thing. You're not allowed to change. It's like, I need permission to redecorate our home or to do this. It's like, nope. This is my value. It matters to me. This has to stay here. And sometimes that can be really imposing, and it's tough to like give them that space to talk that out when you're going to fundamentally have different emotional views on the issue.
Of course. It's holding two truths at the same time.
Yeah.
And they're not the same people.
Right.
And so what one it finds value, the other doesn't. But how do we make space for both?
Right.
And how do we come to a place that we honor both and the individuality? And yes, with this, just like that writer's point with the emotionally immature, I was going to say the same book, but yes, he was raised in that environment and he got away for a reason. He couldn't feel supported and validated and heard and understood. So he left along with his sister. So that's tough when he comes back into it because he's still not being heard.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just holding two people at the same time, and it can be true for both. Making space.
I like this phrase sometimes, the dignity of discomfort, as a way to sort of frame it's okay that your action or your decision or your boundary is not happy for the other person.
Yeah.
And you're actually, in a sense, showing them respect and honor by not babying them, by not protecting them from your truth. And sometimes there's some authenticity to that.
Of course. Yeah.
I like that
Honesty
idea.
matters, right?
Yeah.
It does. And like, if it was me, I would have lied to my mom. Like, as soon as my mom was like, oh, where's that stuff? I'm like, oh, it's in the garage. And like, I'm pretty sure
Does your
that is
mom
what I
scare
said.
you?
No, she's actually a sweetheart, and she's been on the show lots and lots of times.
Okay.
She sends me a lot of Jim's old crafts too. It's,
Yeah,
it's getting weird.
Oh.
My mom and
getting
Jacob are
uncomfortable.
casually
Maybe she's just not
dating.
good
I mean, yeah, it's like,
Do you
I
guys
don't
need
know.
couples yet?
Yeah, no,
Yeah, we might.
there's some shit to work
The
out.
sex is still great though.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So we're fine on that.
Oh, we went almost the whole show without joking about sleeping with my mom.
Yeah.
It's almost a record for you.
Wait.
Very impressed.
I didn't tell a joke.
Oh, another one.
Two.
Bazing!
By the way, Jim has been nervous the entire night that I'm going to say horrible things with guests here.
He's held back.
love
This
it.
is the most censored Jacob we've ever had on the show. So only getting
Why
one
be
I had sex with your
censored?
mom.
Oh, it's just a
Be
different
yourself.
rhythm of the show. That's all.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. I'm not doing it
not
because
you.
of anything other than just the rhythm of the show.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but no, these are really good observations. And to Byler's question, this is a tough thing because we don't want to just say it's not your problem, right? Because he says, look, my truth is also I don't like making mom feel sad.
Of
right?
course.
And like, I don't like that. I don't want to make, her feel bad. But at the same time, this is a difficult thing when it's not my problem, right? And you're handing
Yeah.
this off. And I also don't want to piss anybody off and get written out of the will.
Right.
Yeah.
we gotta get
Oh,
that
yeah. We have to
big
remember
risk.
that. So
Big risk.
there's
Oh,
a
don't
lot
worry.
at
I was
stake.
coming back to the will.
Yeah. There's a lot at stake.
Yeah, we got to get that money. Jacob, how do we tap into that sweet money?
Oh, I think you take everything that she sends you.
Yep.
I think you put it all. I think you take a photograph of it, and then you just start photoshopping pictures of rooms with all of these things that you're just taking photos of. And that way, if she's like, hey, where's that thing? You'd be like, oh, it's in this room, and send her the picture.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to take that a step further because I think you're halfway there.
wait. No. I'm making it more complicated than it needs to be. Just take a picture of the thing in the room and then throw it away.
Yes.
Yeah. Just digitize it all.
Yes.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
That's it. Take a
Digitize
picture of the thing
all the
somewhere in
memories.
your home.
That's the move.
Then throw the thing away,
Report
and then when
cards,
she asks,
scan
be like,
them in.
"Yep, here's the picture of it
Yeah.
right here on the wall." Oh, it's not on the wall right now.
Yeah.
It's in a box. It'll come back out like next season.
Okay, so lie to
like
her
an
or
art
not, but
gallery.
digitize everything, Byler. It's
Seasonal.
2025.
Wouldn't
Like,
it be
what are you
even
doing?
great if he sat down and digitized it with her and said, Mom, tell me
Oh,
why
there
this
you
is
go.
important
Forever,
to you."
Mom.
Yeah.
They do it together.
Got it
Look at
forever.
Janet coming in with an actual good
Connection,
suggestion.
connection,
Yes,
All right.
connection.
So we're going to do what you
actual-
just said, Janet.
Yes.
And we need to go a step further, okay? It's not enough to get into the will. We need to get sister kicked out of it.
Oh my gosh.
So we've got to
Oh.
take
So we're
this a
using our
step
powers for
further.
evil.
I got
of
ideas.
course we are,
Okay.
Jared.
Keep
I need this guy to
reminding-
get paid. He sponsors the show.
Reminding Mom the whole
There's
time.
stuff at stake for us.
Reminding Mom the whole time, my sister would never do this with you.
You've got to be planting those seeds of doubt the
Sister
whole
would never
time.
do this with you. Yeah,
and
maybe
just be
it's
like,
a bottle of wine.
And
with
yeah, just throw it
Mom
around. Like if
digitizing
sister's
the-
name is Susan, just be like, I don't know why Susan throws all this stuff away. I
Yeah,
mean, this
it's
is
so nice.
This is such precious, yeah.
I appreciate
It's
this
almost
stuff.
like
You've
She doesn't
held
even
on
love
to
you.
it for all these
Thank you,
years,
Mom.
and sister
Thank you.
doesn't give a shit.
She doesn't care.
No.
And she talks so much about
And
you
she's
and Dad.
6 hours away.
Yeah, I'm 5 hours. That's right.
By the way, I love you, mother.
When I was like,
That's right.
I
Can
Love
you write down your recipe for that mac and cheese? Because I just
You
want
know,
it forever.
the one that always made me feel wonderful as a child.
Yeah.
It just fixed all
the
the
one
problems.
Susan doesn't like.
Yeah.
You know, she always said was too cheesy.
She says she's lactose intolerant.
She's a bitch.
She's lying.
Oh, Susan.
Yes. And then lie to Susan on the other side.
Yeah.
And just be like,
I
I'm
don't
throwing
know
all
why
this
Mom
shit away.
hates you.
What about you?
Yeah.
I'm not dealing with mom and dad's bullshit anymore. Okay. I throw it away in front of them. I set
Yeah.
it on fire. You should too.
When they give it to me, I tell them that I'm going to throw it away.
Yeah.
You should start
I
doing
stand
that.
up to them. That's the game plan, Byler.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I
As
like
soon as you
this.
get your money, become a therapy partner. Well, we have gotten... Oh, no, that's not true. We're taking a quick break. And when we come back, we're wrapping up the show. You're listening to Pod Therapy. Blah, blah, blah. Their producers sponsor the show. Thank you. I don't remember your names.
Oh, it's been so nice to have qualified therapists on the show today.
Aren't they doing so great?
Oh.
It's so great to have
It's
them.
so pleasant.
Welcome back. As we wrap up the show, we want to remind you can sign up at patreon.com/therapy and you can get our extended show ad-free a day earlier, as well as enjoy our live chat Discord community and our weekly deep dives, interviews, skill shares, research, roundups, and rants. And as we welcome our newest producer, Chick Fellatio.
Hey!
Welcome, Chick Fellatio.
Dead.
That mouth is only open
love
on
it.
Sundays.
There it is.
It's the opposite. It's the opposite.
Everything's a
Patreon.com/therapy.
rainbow.
Love it. We'd like to thank the benevolent, revered, generous, and flagrantly pro-therapy diehards who love you all so much they give till it hurts, our therapy partners, Dirty B and Pickett, and we want to thank our bosses, the mysterious and shrouded Illuminati members of the fan club, the Therapy Producers. Thank you, Jake Schneider, Myra, Robert Brownie Jr., Mint, Smitty Scoop, Judy Schneider, Kayla Lansbury, Malia, Leon Kassab, Mason Miller, Richard fucking Macy, Carolyn Albert, Kevin Chamberlain, Tess Miller, Sammy Scoop, Ben Stanley slapping your face, Sarah Smith, Adam Hathaway, Byler T, thanks for the letter, Byler, Mike Helm, Paris, Darren Cunningham, Lib, Team Monaco, Thunder Cougar, Falcon Scoop, Heyo, Oscar Swanrose, A Sunny Boy, Slurpy Kai, motherfucker, Sandra McWaffle, Dan Martin, Hannah Marie, Andrew Langmead, Emma Kane, Alina, Cody DeLorean Guy, Sam Cohn, Brady Malachek, Gabriel Adam, and welcoming Chick Fellatio. If you'd like to hear this episode uncut and unedited,
And why wouldn't you?
and enjoy our spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy, and thank you for supporting mental health. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week's session. We want to thank our special guests, Janet, Kellyanne, and Dr. Jared. And don't forget, you can learn more about the show and share our episodes with the world. Tag us on the socials when you do. It's at PodTherapyGuys on Instagram, Threads, and Twitter, and Blue Sky. It's /PodTherapy on Facebook. Don't forget about all the extra goodies at patreon.com/therapy. If you want to submit a question to our show, ask anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com or hop over to that episode description and click the anonymous Google form link there. It'll take you into a form where you can drop a question for us. Signing off, I'm Jim.
Janet.
Yes, you are.
Kellyanne.
I'm just pointing around the room.
And Dr. Jared.
and
pleasure
I'm
to
Nick
have been here.
Tangeman.
Pew, pew, I'm Whitney.
Yeah. Look at us. We're not here today.
Dummies. Yeah, enjoy your disciplinary time off. You've been punished. No more bullying Jim, you jerks. Friends, thank you so much for joining us. This was a lot of
Thank
fun.
you for having us.
Does anybody have any projects or anything that you want to plug? You're welcome
Or
to share
social
with
media.
the listener. You're welcome to, or you can remain as anonymous as you have. But if you would like people to find your website, you can tell them where to find it. If they'd like to collaborate with you, you do not have to.
Absolutely.
Go for it.
Absolutely, absolutely, right?
No, you can't know anything about me.
I don't know. Hey, look, I've spent 8 years in paranoia that
No.
I'm going to get in trouble for this podcast. So if you are too, I get it. But go ahead, Kellyanne, tell us about your information.
Thank you. I have a private practice here in Las Vegas. It's Co-Creating Healing Counseling.
Co-creating healing counseling.
Yes.
Cool.
And I do workshops every other month for Hold Me Tight.
Awesome.
It's for all couples, all stages.
Awesome.
great.
Website?
Yes, co-creatinghealingcounseling.com.
.com. That's her official song that goes with it as a jingle. Janet, do you want to pitch anything?
Absolutely. My personal website for my private practice is experiencecourage.com. I also have a website Las Vegas Therapy, LasVegasPlayTherapy.com.
Good get on
where-
that.
Yes,
yeah,
thanks.
way to snag that.
Yeah.
Where I last year sponsored the first Play Therapy conference in Las Vegas, and hopefully we'll be doing it again next year.
I'm so
fantastic.
glad you're doing
yeah,
that. That
if
is
you're
so
interested
great.
in being a supporter, a vendor, or a sponsor, check it out. Things are coming.
Very
2026.
cool. My sister, I'm going to get her
Yeah,
connected with
I would
you
love
because that's going to be really exciting. Dr. Jared?
Yeah, I'm not really looking for clients right now. So
Except
I'm really,
for Byler.
Except
Yeah,
for Byler.
Snagged Byler.
Well,
Yeah.
Byler, but yeah, I'm more for friends. So I'm going to give my Instagram, Dr.
Go
Jared,
for
just
it.
spelled out DOCTOR, Jared.
I like it.
Jared.
Very cool. Dr. Jared from Subway.
There you go.
Oh my
All
God,
right.
no.
Really proud of how much
No.
transformation you've gone through,
He's
Jared.
way
You know, you've
more
really come a
attractive.
long way. Out on
God,
parole.
God.
I've been waiting all night to make that joke. I held on to it for right at the end. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.